Can I ask you a question? What if the life you've been planning for was designed by someone else who no longer exists? Not someone else, you. Because the person who first imagined your retirement, your bucket list, your later life, isn't quite the person sitting here today. Can I tell you something a bit unsettling? The thing you're worrying about right now, the thing that feels so urgent you can barely think past it, you probably won't care about it in 10 years. I don't say that to be depressing. I say it because once you actually sit with it, it's strangely freeing. I'll give you mine. A few years ago, I lost actual sleep, properly, genuinely lost sleep over something I now can't even fully remember the details of. Isn't that ridiculous? I know it felt enormous. I know I was certain it would matter for years, and now it's a slightly embarrassing footnote. And I'm telling you that not because my situation is special, but because I'd put money on you having one too. Something that felt unmissable once and barely registers now. So as you're listening today, I'd love you to keep one question quietly in the back of your mind. What's something that felt enormously important 10 years ago that barely crosses your mind today? That's not a flaw in either of us. That's just how people work. We're not the same person at 35 that we are now. And we won't be the same person 10 years from now that we are today. Our priorities aren't fixed points. They're seasonal. They shift with our health, our relationships, what we've simply got tired of carrying. Here's why I think that matters, especially right now, for this series. Somewhere along the way, a lot of us wrote a list, a bucket list, maybe literally a notebook, a notes app, the back of an old diary. Maybe just a mental one we never wrote down, but absolutely know by heart. And that list was written by someone, a version of you at a particular age with a particular set of certainties about what your later life would look like. This series isn't about that list as a checklist of things to do before you die. I find that framing exhausting, honestly. There's something quietly stressful about turning your remaining years into a to-do list with a deadline attached. What I want to do instead over the next few videos is have an honest conversation about the gap between the person who wrote that list and the person reading it back now, because that gap is real and pretending it isn't doesn't serve you. A bucket list has an expiry date, not because the dreams expire, but because the dreamer changes. We're going to talk about energy, about caring, responsibilities nobody warned you about money that didn't buy what you thought it would, and about what happens when the we in your plan becomes just you. About why so many dreams quietly disappear without anyone deciding to abandon them. About identity once work stops defining you, and eventually about how you build something that fits who you are now, not who you were when you wrote it all down. Before you watch the next video, just notice where your own list is. Don't read it, don't judge it, just notice where it lives. So here's where I want to leave this one. If what matters to you is quietly shifting under your feet, and I'd guess it is, even if you haven't noticed it yet, what happens to a list you wrote when you were absolutely certain it wouldn't? That's where we're going next, and I'll see you there.